Hello and welcome to Whiskey and Smoke News Network, your weekly whiskey, cigar, pipe, and pipe tobacco program where we cover the news, upcoming events, new releases, and we throw an interview in for good measure. We may get saucy, we may spout some educational knowledge your way, but we will always try to be entertaining. This program is designed with your enjoyment in mind at all times. This is episode 3 for October 19th, 2025. My name is Chris Kumnick, and I'll be your host. Now, let's take a look at a little sneak peek of this week's interview with Tucker McCormack of the Algiers Club in Dallas, Texas.
Little liquor store by Union Station in D.C. was kind of like, oh, here's a Dusty that nobody buys, great value, $22, Selmer TV. And I was like, oh, this is great, you know.
That's not a bad Dusty.
Love the price, love everything else. And like, they're like, it doesn't move, but it's a great, quality product. And I was like, okay, like that's pretty cool.
All of that and more, but first, the whiskey news. Fife's Inchdarney Distillery, founded in 2015 by industry veteran Ian Palmer, is restructuring its 27-person workforce through a redundancy process amid a global whiskey demand slowdown, despite plans last year to double production to 4 million liters of alcohol annually, and a recent merger with Macduff International to form Inchdarney Whiskey Limited. Palmer stated the changes adapt to this new normal to ensure long-term success for the business and brands like its May-launched Kinglassy single malts, following production pauses and staff cuts at peers like Rosebank, Glenglassaugh, and Isle of Harris. The distillery is approaching its 10th anniversary in December of this year. Jameson Irish Whiskey has rolled out its latest family lineup evolution, rebranding its single pot still to Distiller's Batch, while refreshing packaging for super premium plus expressions like Crested, building on Black Barrel's double-digit U.S. growth and Original's July redesign to sharpen iconic elements and encourage fans to trade up. The unchanged Distiller's Batch liquid, aged in 5 hand-selected oak casks for equal complexity and smoothness, now spotlights Middleton Distillery's 200-year expertise with master distiller Kevin O'Gorman's signature up front, as noted by him and global marketing head Anna Kelly, who see it broadening appeal in high-end hospitality and specialist retail. New bottles debut in global travel retail in Ireland and UK from October 25, and then hitting the US and beyond in 2026. William Grant & Sons has launched Glenfiddich XS, a trio of premium single malt Scotch whiskies aged 15, 18, and 21 years, crafted by malt master Brian Kinsman with multi-layered secondary maturation to deliver subtle sophistication and depth for a new generation of drinkers marking special moments. The 15-year-old blends American and European oak with Oloroso sherry finish for green apple, cinnamon, and oak sweetness. The 18-year-old adds rare muscatel sherry casks for caramelized fruit, treacle toffee, and a sherry richness, while the 21-year-old Pinnacle finishes in Pedro Jimenez casks, offering raw cane sugar, muscovado syrup, and a complex oak-spiced dried fruits, all at 42% ABV. Debuting in China this November, prices start at $74 for the 15, $118 for the 18-year, and $227 for the 12-year. The U.S. branch of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society has captured the flavors of the season in this year's winter series. The series is back again for 2025. The 4-bottle quartet from distilleries 29 Laphroaig, number 1 Glenfarclas, number 59 Tianinic, and number 39 Linkwood feature a unique cask for each moment while also showcasing their new flavor profiles. The winter series include the Spirit of Halloween from Laphroaig, Mistletoe and Whiskey from Glenfarclas, We'll Take a Cup of Kindness Yet from Tianinic, and Sing Thy Name from Linkwood. They are available now on the U.S. Scotch Malt Whisky Society website. Loch Lomond Group has unveiled its multi-million-pound Luss Distillery and Visitor Center on Loch Lomond's banks in Dumbartonshire, transforming the historic Luss Smokehouse into its third Scottish site just 8 months after gaining planning permission. The state-of-the-art 5,362 square meter attraction features a retail space showcasing Loch Lomond whiskeys, Glen Scotia and Littleton single malts, plus champagne and spirits, an immersive whiskey and gin discovery area, the Ben Lomond Gin Distillery, and a cafe, complete with guided tours, tastings, and premium food options designed to draw thousands of visitors. CEO Colin Matthews hailed it as a milestone for innovation and community support, while designer Paul Hodgkiss highlighted its nature-inspired diamond windows that flood interiors with light and stunning views. It is now open daily from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that is actually pretty interesting that they're opening it now, even with the slowdown. So I believe they're doing okay and will be continue to. Otherwise, they would have maybe put a kibosh on the plans. So I'm glad to hear that. Glad to hear that they're moving forward. Jackie Thompson, after nearly 30 years at Ardbeg, including her recent role as visitor center manager, has joined neighboring Islay Distillery, Portentruin, as visitor center experience manager, just ahead of its spring-summer 2026 opening. Owned by Elixir Distillers, founded by Whiskey Exchange creators Sukhinder and Rajbir Singh, Portentruin prioritizes visitors in its design, with Thompson crafting immersive journeys focused on whiskey production, Islay history, food, and drams to create lasting memories. Singh praised her alongside former Lagavulin manager Georgie Crawford and a head of whiskey creation Oliver Chilton as a powerhouse team to showcase the very best of Islay. Decorah Bank and Trust filed a Chapter 7 involuntary bankruptcy petition against Stegmeyer Stave on October 3rd in Minnesota, alleging the White Oak Stave producer for whiskey and wine industries isn't paying its $3.99 million in commercial debts. Stegmeyer responded by filing its own Chapter 11 petition on October 17th, reporting 50 to 99 creditors and both assets and liabilities between $1 and $10 million. This comes amid a tough year for the barrel sector, including independent stave companies' 112 job cuts in Lebanon, Kentucky, after acquiring Brown-Forman's cooperage. Frey Ranch is debuting its first malted 4-grain single-barrel bourbons in 750 ml bottles, normally they're 375s, using the same mash bill as their flagship 4-grain straight bourbon, with all grains malted on-site via Colby Frey's custom malt drum, alongside the return of the OG 375 milliliter malted 4-grain bourbon batch number 3, formerly Quad Malt. 2 barrels, number 3041 and 599, aged 6 years 3 months to 8 years 9 months, and bottled at 131 to 133 proof, drop online October 17th at 10 a.m. For $114, with a third, barrel number 3043, available in the tasting room on October 18th. Batch 3 is priced at $59. Russell's Reserve has unveiled the 4th edition of its single rickhouse collection, Camp Nelson E, aged in one of the distillery's coldest rickhouses, built in 1946 near the Kentucky River, benefiting from the shade, airflow, and a unique microclimate, with master distiller Eddie Russell handpicking barrels exclusively from the 5th floor for slow and nuanced maturation. This 2025 release hits an unprecedented 128 proof, the highest for any Russell's Reserve bottling. It is non-chill filtered and is now available in the U.S. markets and at the Wild Turkey Visitor Center for $300 per bottle. James Beam Distilling Company has launched Old Overholt Extra Aged Cask Strength 12-year rye, the oldest in its limited edition series, an unfiltered Kentucky-style rye distilled and barreled in the spring of 2013, aged 12 years across 4 Claremont warehouses, bottled at cask strength from 53 to 65% ABV for $109, let's just say $110 per bottle. It follows the brand's previous 10 and 11-year releases. Heaven Hill kicks off its 2025 Grain to Glass Specialty Barrel Series with 3 6-year-old whiskeys aged in rare Chinkapin oak barrels, a Kentucky Straight Bourbon and a Kentucky Straight Wheated Bourbon, both at 105 proof, plus a Kentucky Straight Rye at 107 proof. They were all barreled at 107 proof. non-chill filtered, and crafted from locally grown grains, including a unique Beck's corn hybrid with a distinctive mash bill separate from the brand's flagships. These innovative releases will hit national shelves in November 2025 for $130 a bottle and are currently available in limited quantities at the Heaven Hill Bourbon Experience and Springs Distillery. So check ahead before heading out to pick them up at the distillery. Woodford Reserve has released its 2025 holiday bottle, a limited 1-liter edition of Distiller's Select Bourbon at 90.4 proof for $52.99. Featuring artwork by fashion designer Alexandra O'Neill of luxury brand Markarian, the brand's first collaboration with a fashion designer. The label fuses vintage charm with modern elegance, showcasing a garland of winter berries and stars on a muted sage backdrop, which O'Neill calls a beautifully wrapped gift, precious and celebratory. It's available nationwide, online with shipping to select states, and at the distillery where complimentary engraving comes with the purchase. Pursuit Spirits has launched Pursuit United Kodama Mizurna Bourbon, a limited edition blend of 2 triple mash bill bourbon lots, finished distinctly, one in rare Japanese Mizunara oak for exotic spice and dry woodiness, the other an infrared toasted American oak for rich vanilla and sweetness. This bold fusion delivers a complex profile bottled at 117 proof for $90 a bottle, and available exclusively at Pursuit Spirits Whiskey Row location starting October 11th, 2025. McBriar Legacy Spirits is resurrecting a storied Kentucky bourbon name with Old McBriar 8-year-old bottled in bond, aged 8 years and bottled at 100 proof to honor the 19th century distillery founded by Captain J.H. McBriar and later helmed by W.H. McBriar. This heritage-driven release revives the 1940s to 50s advertising slogan, a favorite of old Kentucky on its label, crafted from a mash bill of 70% corn, 18% rye, and 12% malted barley, with just 2,600 bottles in this limited batch. No word on pricing at this time. Old Commonwealth is back with D.H. Cromwell Batch 2, a 15-year Kentucky straight bourbon finished for 10 months in new charred oak barrels from Kelvin Cooperage, twice the duration of Batch 1. Using the same mash bill of 75% corn, 13 rye, and 12% malted barley, this release ramps up the red fruit and creamy depth from its predecessor while maintaining balance and steering clear of over-oaking, bottled at 105.5 proof for $300. It launches October 23rd, alongside the upcoming Kentucky Nectar's Founders Pick number 3. Ingram Distillery has unveiled its 2025 flagship bourbon, the 5th edition in their acclaimed annual series, highlighting the brand's signature river aging process. This ultra-limited micro batch blends just 8 high rye bourbon barrels featuring a mash bill of 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley, bottled at a potent 116 proof. Following their recent Uncharted Wheat Bourbon debut, it carries a suggested retail price of $79.99. Sagamore Spirit is rolling out its first high rye straight bourbon whiskey as part of the Reserve series, blending the brand's Maryland rye heritage with innovative bourbon craftsmanship. This 6-year-old expression uses a mash bill of 60% corn, 25% unmalted rye, and 15% malted rye. Aged in new charred American oak barrels and bottled at a robust 118 proof, it hits shelves in October for $49, available at the Baltimore Distillery and select local retailers now. Smoke-Eye Hill has launched its bold debut rye whiskey, barrel-proof straight rye, distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and aged for 5 years in a mix of char 2, 3, and 4 30-gallon American oak casks in Colorado Springs. This standout features a unique proprietary 4-grain mash bill of rye, heirloom blue corn, yellow corn, and malted barley, bottled at cask strength between 131.2 and 131.7 proof. The limited small batch release totals under 1,400 cases and retails for $89.99. Now, in cigar news, Two Guys Cigars is marking its 40th anniversary with 2 exclusive humidors from Nelson Alfonso's Selected Tobacco, the Atabey Delirios, Two Guys 40th humidor, packing 5 Atabey Delirios and 5 Atabey Black Delirios, and the larger Atabey Rios Special Edition humidor with 20 each of Atabey Rios and Atabey Black Rios. Both highlight Alfonso's refined blends of Ecuadorian wrappers, Dominican binders, and Dominican Peruvian fillers, aged for balance and complexity, with just 200 numbered Delirios units at $450 and 40 Ritos units at $2,000. Diesel Cigars is reviving its fan favorite annual limited edition, the Sideshow Sampler, blending signature full-bodied flavor with carnival-inspired formats, crafted at Tabacalera A.J. Fernandez in Nicaragua. Featuring Ecuadorian Habano and Pennsylvania broadleaf wrappers, Mexican San Andreas binder, and Nicaraguan fillers from Condega and Estai. This year's 7 handmade vitolas include standout designs like the Culebra-style Bohemian Twins, Shaggy-footed Bearded Lady, Frog Boy, Pinhead, Two-Headed Nightingale, Elephant Man, and Strong Man. Assistant brand manager Joe Kriston praised the artisan's craftsmanship and creativity with samplers retailing at $99.45 and shipping nationwide in November 2025 in time for the holidays. Cohiba has unveiled Weller by Cohiba 2025, the 5th limited edition cigar in its collaboration with Weller Bourbon. Featuring a U.S. broadleaf binder aged in ex-Weller Antique 107 barrels for a medium to full-bodied profile that echoes the bourbon's bold refinement. Handcrafted in the Dominican Republic with an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper and Dominican, Honduran, and Nicaraguan fillers. Offered as a Toro, vitolas in 10-count boxes inspired by Antique 107's Crimson label, each $30 cigar ships to the authorized retailers in October 2025. Complementing the release is the Weller by Cohiba 2025 Accessories Collection, a deep red and gold ceramic ashtray for 4 cigars, a double-blade stainless steel cutter, and a triple flame torch lighter, available in limited quantities through STG partners and online. The Tobacconist of Greenwich, Connecticut, partnering with Arturo Fuente and Carlito Fuente Jr., hosted its 3rd annual Opus Exodus experience on October 8th at Tamarack Country Club in Greenwich, Connecticut, shattering fundraising records with over $500,000 raised for the Cigar Family Charitable Foundation to support education, healthcare, and community development in the Dominican Republic. The sold-out event drew 250 global guests, including industry icons like Carlito Fuente Jr., Ciro Cascala, and Cynthia Fuente, for luxury dining, curated La Coya wines, and live entertainment, highlighted by an auction of 16 ultra-rare, unreleased Fuente lots from private reserves. Exclusive launches included the Fuente Opus X 25th Anniversary Rare Finds, a 10-cigar collector set, and Opus Triple X 10-year bourbon whiskey, a single-barrel release with First Cut Barrel Company, both available in limited quantities through the Tobacconist. In pipe and tobacco news, a new release from Cornell & Diehl, From Beyond, emerges from its slumber to bring you a dark and full-bodied blend that offers a unique flavor profile. Jeremy Reeves says From Beyond is very dark and dense. It tastes like nighttime. It tastes like shadows in the woods. From Beyond arrives October 21st at 6 p.m. Are you prepared? Now, in upcoming events, the Las Vegas International Pipe Show will be returning to the Palace Station Casino and Hotel on October 24th through the 26th. This is one of the only pipe shows in the U.S. that allows pipe smoking on the show floor and is one of the major pipe shows in the U.S. that brings in pipe artisans from all over the globe to sell their wares. See their website for details. The Ohio Craft Whiskey Festival will be held at Hen Nick Brewery and Farm in Delaware, Ohio on October 25th. Cigar Aficionado's Big Smoke will happen at the Horseshoe Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada, on October 31st through November 1st. This is one of Cigar Aficionado's big events and should be quite memorable. The 2025 Arkansas Whiskey Festival will be happening at the River Market Argenta Plaza on November 1st from 4 to 7 p.m. The Premium Spirits and Cigars Festival will be happening at the Luxury Events Atelier in Miami, Florida on 11/8 or November 8th from 6 to 10 p.m. In Deadwood, South Dakota, the Big Whiskey Tasting Event will be happening along Main Street on November 8th from 4 to 8 p.m. Whiskey Advocates New York Whiskey Fest will happen on November 14th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Marriott Marquis. And finally, on Saturday, November 15th, the Southern Kentucky Distillers Craft Festival will be happening in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and starts at 2 p.m. Check the Kentucky Bourbon Trail website for more information. And now we move to our Pop the Cork in-depth interview of the week. So please sit back, grab a dram, pour that glass, pick out a good stick, torch it up, pack a bowl, soft flame away, then listen to my interview with Tucker McCormack, the owner of a wonderful private club in Dallas, Texas called the Algiers Club. We cover its history and the origin story of the Algiers Club, as well as upcoming expansion plans. Please enjoy. Okay, we're here in the Algiers Club in Dallas with Tucker McCormack, the owner of the Algiers Club. How are you doing, Tucker?
Doing well.
Good. Thanks for taking some time out
Definitely.
and talking to us. I was hoping to get with you and just kind of go over your background, your history, and then kind of the impetus behind the Algiers Club, and then we can talk about things that are going on and maybe future plans, stuff like that. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, go back. I'd probably say I started really getting into whiskey when I moved to DC in 2010. Mm-hmm. So pretty early in the craft movement, and really kind of got in a lot more because of the craft cocktail movement, where it was really kind of rising with Death and Co. in New York, and DC was kind of I think right on their heels, and so little liquor store by Union Station in DC was kind of like, oh, here's a Dusty that nobody buys, great value, $22, Selmer TV. And I was like, oh, this is great,
That's not a bad Dusty.
Love the price, love everything else, and they're like, it doesn't move, but it's a great quality product. And I was like, okay, that's that's pretty cool. And then grad school was up in kind of the northwest side, kind of towards Adams Morgan, DuPont, and a bar called Bourbon was there, and they had about 300 bourbons, which is a really big deal back then. But
in like 2010, that would be
But in 2011, he opened up Jack Rose salon, saloon. So that became, I believe they launched with 16,000 whiskeys. He partnered with this guy Harvey, who had passed, but he was kind of this old guy, beard, like Wolf Moon trucker shirt kind of thing. And he would just walk around every night because he invested with his huge Scotch collection. So he had, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 bottles of Scotch and partnered in there. Yeah. And, his card just read single malt Scotch guy. And he just came in and talked about, Scotch. So this place, you've never been, it's just wrap around walls. And just got to really kind of start going down the rabbit hole. And from there, started bartending a little bit, and by the time I moved back to Dallas in 2014, I was totally hooked. So I started kind of a little whiskey club, tasting club, inviting friends over, started bringing some brands in that I got to know, just hosting on my place.
Sure.
And then, got into Dallas Bourbon Club in, I think, 2015, 16.
Okay.
And, just kind of been downhill until when COVID hit.
Right.
I was already consulting. I'd done my MBA and helped out with some of that stuff, and then finally moved into spirits full time. So launched with some partners 99 Proof, which is a venture capital private equity firm just for brand equities.
Okay.
So we would, invest in early stage, growth brands. And then eventually, started working with and opening up my own shop with whiskey barrel investing, bonded ventures. And so investing in young casks, letting them age. Excellent. And throughout this process was like, well, an entire thing is experiential, right? You need spirits. So the Algiers Club kind of formed between the Dallas Bourbon Club's interest in, wherever all the whiskey clubs are just Facebook groups.
Sure.
And so it's like, how do we get a clubhouse?
Yes.
And the investment business, which was like, how do we host investors and, educate them, help try stuff, which might not even be in market, and not be spending, a huge amount on, all of the wining and dining that usually goes along in the, capital raise side. So that kind of combined formed kind of the basis for the Algiers Club being a bottle share, being a place to educate and bring people together, and just kind of been growing from there since we opened 2 years ago from right about now.
Wow. So this time 2 years ago is when the Algiers Club opened. Very good. What's your MBA in?
So I mean, general business, but it does,
the
specialty was ethical leadership. So, did it through Schreiner University. I did undergrad at SMU here. Okay. So I didn't.
So you're a Dallas boy?
Yeah, born here in Highland Park, and then moved to Colorado when I was 6, and then Fredericksburg when I was 12, and then came back to SMU.
Fredericksburg, Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool. Yeah.
So,
did you enjoy it out there?
I mean, growing up was like peaches and antiques.
Yeah.
So it was very different than like wine central. I mean, they had, some of the older wineries were around, 20 plus years ago, but
nothing like today.
No. I mean, the growth has been massive.
Correct.
And now they're, one of the top tourist destinations in Texas. And I think it's now the second largest AOC behind Napa Sonoma was one of the last stats I've seen. I mean, there's over 140 wineries, I think, in the Hill Country.
You drive.
Now
what's the road from Johnson City?
290.
290 from Johnson City to Fredericksburg.
Total mess.
I've been in Texas since '97.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we lived down in Georgetown for a while.
Okay. Yeah, we moved back in '96.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And I remember going out to Fredericksburg and out to Enchanted Rock.
Yeah.
And there was nothing along 290. I mean, it was between Johnson City and Fredericksburg, and
I think those plots are going between 100 and 150 an acre. Yeah, that's crazy now. So
we just went down there sometime last year, and I was just like, what happened?
Yeah.
So definitely. Okay, so you opened 2 years ago, and I'm from what I can tell, it's been an amazing success. Would you agree?
Yeah, I mean, it's been super fun. From the brand engagement side, I think we've had a lot of interest. I mean, we did in the first year, I think it was 270 tastings.
Yeah.
And other
so that's
like
almost
that.
one a night, really.
Almost, I mean, we were doing 3 to 4 a week, and it's awesome because we're just sharing our spirits. So a brand come in, we'll work with them, and they get to educate anyone interested. So it's not just members that get, they have priority, but anybody can go online, sign up for a ticket. Yeah.
Case in point. Just so everybody knows, I am not a member yet. Potentially, once we'll talk about that in the future. But there is a chance that I will be a member. It doesn't make sense for me, as you know, to
it's a ways away.
Ways away, exactly. Yes.
But, so I mean, I had to identify kind of a central location at first with my initial deal, and then moving into kind of creating more clubhouses over around the city and eventually state. So
well, I mean, the economics are such that where you are situated, you're pretty close to Highland Park, things like that.
Yeah,
so I mean, and it is centrally located. It's not that hard to get to. Would you call this a warehouse district here in
it is. I mean, we're there's a lot of artist showrooms, and that's kind of from a permitting side. We have kind of the daytime use, like this, like we're in a conference room. It looks different than a lot of co-working spaces, but technically we kind of fit into that where members get access during the day, have a cup of coffee. And a lot of guys use it as kind of a floating, office, especially if they have clients in downtown that are coming in from Frisco or whatever. So that's been a great thing. I mean, we get, a huge variety of people that can come in, whether it's to, just have a meeting. Most of the time it's happy hour, but, we get a lot of daytime use as well. So we have the office, element, and then we also have the showroom element, which is the tasting. So we're here to, I'm showcasing brands that we're invested in, brands we're looking to invest in, or brands that we can, compare with, investment for educational needs. So kind of just, tie in a lot of that. And then, the cocktail program kind of built up where we, have the bottle share. The bar is fully stocked by members with their own bottles, and then they can self-serve. But the nice part is we brought in some people that can whip up some great stuff with members' bottles.
And they do.
It's really fun to be able to have that, where we can teach them how to make the cocktails and go home, or they can just come and enjoy it and not have to, they're like, I've always wanted an old fashioned with this. Right. But it's always been way too expensive at that bar because secondary prices and, pour prices have gone crazy.
Sure. No, but that's, and I took some B-roll over at the bar, and there is quite a wonderful selection of spirits over there. There's no doubt about it. If you can't find it, I don't think you guys have it.
Well, it's a super eclectic deal too.
That is true.
So,
yes.
Because obviously, when we started, mostly Dallas Bourbon Club, and quite a few other whiskey clubs like Trinity River. Sure. Have members here that are stocking the bar, so it's a ton of really awesome single barrel picks, and stuff that they get in their travels that they're open to try, sharing. So when we started, it was 70-80% whiskey, and then now it's kind of got more we've expanded Scotch, Irish, Japanese, so it's more international. And then, agave and some stuff has really been, especially this summer, everyone loves that. But people are getting to try cocktails with different spirit bases, which is really cool. The flexibility with just kind of a bespoke, hey, can you, take this and do something with it? Sure. I think a lot of people are excited because they've never even thought about it, or what ingredients should I get at home for my personal bar that I really like. That's kind of been a lot more exciting and bigger than I realized it was when we kind of came up with the concept. I thought it was just a big bottle share space.
When you have vendors come in, and I apologize, but your main bartender, who is usually helping with drinks, and when those are happening?
Well, we have one every day, so they're full time at other spots. And then, but then I have kind of a manager. So Heath is
I think that's
kind of operations manager. So he's got a background in craft, whiskey, cake, and some other places.
But he does amazing.
Yeah. No, I mean even guys who aren't hired as bartenders. I've got a little bit of a background. I'm the worst one of all of them, but I can at least whip up a few things if the need requires.
What I was thinking of is that the times I have come in, you guys are really good about, let's say Slane was in here, Old Fitzgerald, and you guys take that spirit and make a cocktail for the night, and it's so that is just that kind of stuff is really, really cool.
Well, the R&D piece, I think it's the bartenders get a chance to explore and experiment with stuff, and that means, hey, this flavor profile might be different, or I've never, even used this spirit in a deal where they can bring it back. So, I heavily invest in Green River barrels, well, as a good partner from the brand side as well. Right. They have kind of a well product that they've come out with that's great value, and it's 1 liter, behind the bar, and so now bartenders can see it, play with it, and then ideally bring it back to their bar because they're just kind of floating on a once a week or random guest ship.
Now, is that something that's available to the public, or is that only available?
I believe it is at Specs and stuff. But
what is it?
It's their 1885, I believe, is what it's called, 1895. Okay, something like that.
Yes, I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so it's
Yes,
it's a larger 1 liter. It doesn't have the same branding. Green River's still prominent, but
yeah, very cool. Last week I was here when True Story was in, and you're also an investor with them too, correct? From what I understood from Kirsten. So so that's an interesting kind of a how do I put it? If you're an investor, it's probably a little easier to get them to come and do something like that.
As a new brand, like
sure.
The advocacy side is huge. I mean, every brand is how do we get liquor to lips? And
correct.
One of the things that's awesome here is that the membership is exceptional. We have now about 115 members, but as we were growing, we started with about 30 2 years ago. So it's been slow, it's been methodical, and really ensuring that the culture is here of interest and we have so much. It's like, hey, certain things aren't. Some guys are only looking for the next big. What's the coolest drop, the highest proof.
Right.
And what Wes Henderson and them have done is really introduce kind of finished whiskeys.
Right.
With the Angel's Envy selling that was. People thought they were crazy, and now they're coming in with, hey, let's get new and interesting finishes.
Yep.
And, with the Kentucky Castle that they have, there's a larger kind of hospitality experiential play in Kentucky that they're working on. But, the cool part about it is they have Wes and, 4 of the 6 sons are involved in the brand. So it's a really cool legacy play that they can work with. And, Kyle does a awesome job on the finishing program, and they have a huge range of what they can do. Because finishing, it's like, hey, if this doesn't work, we can, shift and have a series. And so, they're driving it. And then with the Brothers of the Leaf brand that they incorporated, that's much, it's all toasted finishes typically, and working with cigar brands, and because it was initially created as that smoking whiskey, and he had, the initial founder of that, who's now part of heading up sales with True Story, and Saga Spirits is the larger brand, is just really cool guy, and they're working with some stuff that hopefully we'll see soon, and can do some really cool pairings.
Well, I will tell you that as a investor / part of, I guess technically part owner, the True Story was amazing, especially the rye. I'm searching out a bottle because really both are really good, but exceptional on the white rye bottle. So if you can find one, go. I will.
Well, and that's the Amburana and Cherry. So there's definitely Amburana is a very polarizing thing. So you either love it or you hate it. But I think the added cherry element to it, where it's not just like a cinnamon bomb, but you get those dark stone fruits, and then the rye they're using also has kind of those cherry notes. Is a really good balance where it's more unique, and they use 2 types of cherry in it as well. So just the whole kind of blending art within finished spirits kind of, I think, comes out versus just some of the Amburana have just been okay, this is only a Christmas tree.
It can, like you said, very polarizing. It could be I love it, or oof.
And there's some cocktails like an espresso martini using it that are really, really cool. Kyle introduced that to me, and that was one of my favorite iterations of just something unique, because I don't just like vodka and coffee aren't really my thing. So that I thought was a really cool, tons of flavor going on, and I thought it worked really well.
Very cool. Now you mentioned it, and if I remember correctly, Brothers of the Leaf, the whiskey. That was, we got to taste it, and again, that stuff was also exceptional. But that's going to be coming out, because that's not, or is it out?
I think it was a Kentucky only. It was a relatively small brand when they brought it in. So just like they're doing toasted finishing with either French, American, and a variety of toast. The black label that they have got top 20 in I think Whiskey Advocate last year. So that was a pretty cool boost for them. So yeah.
But that's at the moment, as far as you know, is still only available in Kentucky.
I believe so.
Because I haven't seen it around here.
I don't know if they have the volume yet. So
Okay.
I think they're working on finishing. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, like Amberana gets pretty intense really fast, so
Sure.
you can get that out. Sherry takes a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I think with the finishing cast, they're just kind of, you're bottling it when it's right, not,
exactly.
and they're trying to get it as fast, as possible out. But I think those take a little bit longer, and you can only do so much marketing in new markets, but
Sure.
it gives them more to sit on as they're expanding. So yeah.
Now, on top of, obviously, you have the space here that you can become a member, use it as a co-working space if you want.
Yeah.
You also offer some trips too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, you were on one not too long ago. And where did you go?
Yeah. So just took our second trip to Scotland. That's been really fun. I mean, we do these Scotch series very rare. So pretty much all the Scotch tastings have just become really big and robust tastings. I mean, we're doing cigar pairings with them. We're doing, so we've had some amazing food pairings.
Right.
We did a Bricklati and oyster pairing, which was really interesting, getting kind of an Isla, and Pete. We're doing Friday one with barbecue and looking at smoked barbecue with peated and unpeated scotches.
Right.
So they've really kind of taken off. So what I've done is kind of focused on Speyside, just being the most approachable region.
Doing
100% Isla, that's a very small percentage of people, and even myself, I don't want to only drink mostly peated stuff all the time, especially Isla. Like I've started to really find some Highland and Speyside peats that have been really cool, much more kind of barbecue smoke and
not as maritime or
the salinity there. I mean, I really love the Talisker peat. It's a little bit lighter. It's not as heavy as some of the Isla, but
I guess Torveg would be another one that is a little not as much so as Isla.
Yeah, Rosé is on the side, an island right next to Talisker that have both peated and unpeated shared. They got a huge variety, super young distillery. Yeah. But the quality and the branding, bottling has been really cool as well. So normally we'll kind of meet in Edinburgh, do a loop up, start with Aberfeldy as one of our best examples of the art of blending. So where the Scots are really, the distiller is a science role. It's made to make the single, malt the exact same every time. And where in America, we really highlight the master distiller. Where in Scotland, it's really about the blender. Because they're using so many different finishing casks and whatnot, it takes a whole new role. We can only use one cask, so there's a little bit more continuity, even though the single barrel, just
you're limited here
range,
to what the casks are giving you. Whereas I know over there, from what I understand, those companies are trading casks all the time. I mean, because they need this kind of
they're
a
getting
profile.
mostly ex-bourbon, but the Dalmore, the last 30 years, they're typically doing it in secondary casks. So 12-year-old, it's 9 years in ex-bourbon, and then take it. And so I just picked up a quintet. I picked up the quartet last time, so that's 5 finishing casks that are blended together. And then building up to King Alexander III, which I think has 6 finishing casks. So normally you see 1, 2. I mean, there's 4 or 5 kinds of sherry. You have your port, you have wine. All these European oak wine.
You can do sauternes. You can do
So they're as finishing casks blow up. The Scots have been using it for forever. Now in bourbon. Kind of like I said, it was going to open the door for people to start exploring more. But so Stephanie McLeod with Aberfeldy. So Bacardi owns Stewart's and Aberfeldy, and she's been winning in the most celebrated master blender 7 times in a row. I don't think anyone else has won it twice, much less consecutively. So it's a really cool, I think, start to the stop. It's a beautiful area architecturally. It's really pretty, and they've been amazing hosts both times we've come. And then we just spend a lot of time in Speyside. So shout out to Mitch, who's Copper Cairn. He was one of the former global ambassadors for Glenfiddich and Balvenie with William Grant and Sons. And so he went on to kind of start this whiskey tour business. David Allardyce, who was the Central brand ambassador and then West for Glenfiddich, made an introduction. We were trying to go, first starting to look, and it's just been awesome.
That's great.
They do a great job. So we incorporated more golf. We
Yes.
spent a day in St. Andrews.
That's rough.
Yeah. And
On the old course?
No, we stayed at the old course
Okay.
at Rusex and overlooking the 18th hole, just around the bridge,
Sure.
the whole thing. But we played on the Eden course, so just right next to it. So we started on like the 14th coming back from the old course.
Okay.
And, I got to see, that famous bunkers and, some great stuff. So
I have not been yet, but it is a place I would love to.
Yeah.
I attempt to play golf.
Yeah, my handicap will not allow me to play on the old course, so that is not. I'd prefer to just have a cigar and
there you go.
A couple of whiskeys on the golf course.
Exactly. When you go over there, I mean, depending on who you're with and if it's family and everything like that. But if you were to do it outside of, the Algiers Club, would you still? Do you think it's beneficial to use a tour, guide? For driver, and you know what I mean? So,
yeah, definitely a driver. I mean, Scotland is very, very strict, so you can't if you have one pour. Like the first thing they do is breathalyze you. So you might have lower, but not only do they take you in, but take the car in, and everyone else is going to be stuck. So having a driver is very, very important.
Right.
So
if you have a wife who doesn't like whiskey, that's probably a good thing.
it is, yeah. I mean, and we've had, last trip last year, I think one of the members' wives, not a huge fan, but she was a champ. She tried stuff, but then at dinners, and we can always do a wine pairing instead of a whiskey pairing, and so there was plenty of alternatives. And this one we did a lot more daytime. Like, hey, well, let's go to Johnson's in Elgin, which is a cashmere and fabric shop. We did some golf and spa alternatives. So really trying to make it like, hey, well, there's a priority for whiskey. We did 16 distilleries over 9 days. Had a lot of mornings where we just, took hikes, along the River Spey or drove around and just, petted, the hairy cows.
Yeah, the hairy coos.
All the
Exactly.
stuff.
That's nice.
I mean, there's plenty of kind of alternative things to do that's not, as, we're not trying to do a production tour every time because, outside of minor nuances of the stills and angles of the necks and stuff, like, there's not too much to see. So really it comes down to, exclusive tastings and pairings. We had some that, it's invite only to even purchase bottles with House of Hazelwood, with Glenfiddich, Bovini. And there's, so we really try to make sure that it's, I think, I brought 11 bottles back. Another member brought 22 back with him and his wife. And almost all of them are not available in the U.S. So these are distillery only, hand-fill bottles that you can fill yourself, which is most of them have some really cool opportunities. Like one of the distilleries, Glendronach, even had a 29-year-old hand-fill, which was super cool.
29-year-old hand-fill.
Yeah, right. I mean, most of them are younger, like but Aberfeldy was 24.
Yeah.
So I mean, great quality, juice, really, exclusive kind of thing. So, next year, kind of looking at, do we stick around with the Speyside tour? Do we do a kind of a tour up from Speyside into the Highlands and end at Highland Park? Take the ferry over to Orkney, or do we alternate and do Ireland and switch off every year? So
there you go.
Kind of introducing. So I'm giving members a chance to kind of get back, and then we'll open it up to
voice their opinion.
Outside of member priority, anyone can join these trips as well. So, I open it up to all investors, and had some this trip as well, which was awesome. So
I know I was here for the Bacta event, and so that's another thing that is on offer. I know, and I we're not going to be able to go this year, and I think that, but we're definitely are still looking at next year.
I mean, unique stuff like Armagnac, you don't really get opportunities for. So I was able to kind of go check it out, and it's a one, just never even been to Gascony region. And so, just a beautiful space. I mean, the food's obviously amazing down there. Armagnac's, very unique product, and, the age and in history they have is exceptional. But yeah, we do, I'll run Kentucky trips, so we'll do 1 or 2 a year, doing just the Bourbon Trail. And, member requests are always opening more. So we've been, talking about Japan and trying to see, we've had a lot of great Japanese whiskeys come in, and that would be super fun.
That's
and even kind of Napa too. Just get some wine.
Get some wine. Do a wine trip, exactly. I mean, because it's not just whiskey here. If you look here, it looks like
I mean, this is my kind of room. But we try to bring in a wine brand once a quarter to once a month. So any wine brands, just because we want this to be as much of a business development spot where people are coming in and closing deals and everything else, to date night spot too. There's so many great restaurants around here that come in, have a pour and have some wine, either bring a bottle or that you love or anything else, but just having an alternative to not just be a guys whiskey club. It's really so we're having martini nights and opening that up for kind of date night spots to start, and then
I guess it'd be almost a week and a half ago you had the Negroni brothers in.
So
I mean,
something kind of fun and different. I mean,
and then you made you pickled things for I forget what week that was, but then was that for part of the Negroni?
Well, the Botanist is working
with
what
it was. The Botanist. Yes,
they were kind of doing a pickled martini because that's been kind of all the rage. So we went in, did a pickling class. So one helped people understand pickling, get some stuff, and bring it home. But then use that for pickle garnishes, where you instead of using olive juice, you can use pickle brine. And that's not really sure why, but you can also do like a pickleback if you want some Jameson in that. And then we did a little Bloody Mary
very cool
deal as well, so using the same kind of garnishes. But just kind of a fun way for people to explore. We're talking with a tea company right now, so doing kind of like a tea gin cocktail, as well as have the opportunity to get really high end teas from this person. We're exploring some paint and sip kind of thing. So, have, branded, images, did some, watercolors and, I mean, we do, game nights here. So it's just like if anyone wants it, it's like, hey, you can reserve a room, just like, brand members can, and, want to, enjoy stuff with great like-minded people and kind of create reasons to get together.
So I know of, we've talked before about this, but you have, as far as expansion plans, I think first and foremost, you're going to be out in Heath, right?
Yep.
In Heath,
so,
Texas.
We've been kind of working, and so I think over Christmas, I think it was at the Dallas Bourbon Club's Christmas party, met Bill. He's a resident in Heath. Had some experience. He's had a cigar store. He's had some, cocktail lounge kind of deal. And in moving there, it's like, hey, they don't, he's like, there's nothing that I can do. I got to leave Heath because there's one bar, there's one coffee shop. What do we do? And so we kind of started getting, into it. And that's kind of the biggest thing is for me, I can't be everywhere at once. So finding an ideal partner, I'm looking, Heath Rockwall was an option, McKinney, Allen, kind of Plano, on Tollway.
75, 121, what Tollway?
So Tollway and 75 kind of regions, and then kind of back around through, South Lake, Grapevine, and then, Fort Worth, even, kind of west. I know Weatherford's kind of been a target, conversation.
Big growth out that way.
Yeah, I mean, huge amount of growth, and, so when there's kind of a combination of the city growing, they the city of Heath has been, been working through, and that's where I was just kind of, getting everything out because we're going through updated permitting. We got a great little spot, that, my designer who did a lot of stuff in here, Karis, She's, knocked it out of the park on
Excellent.
on visuals. I think here she had to work
No.
with. She kind of came in a little late, so now we're giving her kind of free reign. So the walls are primed, but we're just kind of ready. So she's getting to do it from the get go.
And again, I've taken a little bit of video of the interior. This place is truly, it's really nice.
Yeah,
you've done a great job.
No, I mean, it was kind of bare, and she really kind of brought it all together.
Right.
So all the artwork, all the decoration, was really her kind of, and working within what was available. And so, these kind of smaller spots, I'm not trying to create the biggest and thing. It's really a small community. We have about 115 members, trying to get up to about 250 in each location. We will have reciprocity around those, but the Heath location, this is kind of more city speakeasy, black and blue kind of darker vibes. That's going to be more, it's a old, converted farmhouse, kind of have more of a hunting lodge, kind of greens and blues and browns vibes. So kind of have like a Ralph Lauren kind of feel.
Sure.
So the render she's been able to put together, I'm super excited to be able to kind of show that off. And so we're just kind of working through the final kind of permitting, and hopefully can be, up and running in Q1.
Yeah, that's great.
But barring anything there.
Well,
but I mean, then I think just as this expands, anyone, it's like, hey, just if you're interested, it's Bill's been able to invest and really take on the role to kind of bring the community together, and part of the membership is really who has deeper ties in the community that we can really work with and make sure that the offering is ideal for who's there, who wants to be a part of it. So I think we've kind of connected those dots at Heath, and when those dots connect in these other spots, I'd love to do that, and eventually be able to look at Austin, Houston. I think have quite a few investors in both, and I think the community is really if any response is half as good as here, I think you'll have a really great way to kind of give people a unique alternative.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's like executive co-working meets social club meet, and it's not there's no designated offices, but being able to work out of here, have private meetings out of here, that are off the beaten path, and the privacy and exclusivity I think has been really awesome. And then just being able to meet guys from Bottle Share, where you're not going to somebody's house, someone's wife's not getting frustrated and staying up too late, all that kind of stuff. And it's just been a great kind of combination of all the different
well, I'm looking forward to hopefully their one being in the McKinney, like you said, that area, because obviously I live a decent bit north of the DFW area, but that's what I chose, so I live with that. But so that would be amazing. So how does one become a member? How can they get in touch with you, basically?
Yeah, I mean the website pretty straightforward. We have a big apply button there.
Okay.
There's usually I'd love to. There's always have to meet people.
Sure.
So if you apply, you can do that. Just cold, but I'd advise you to come in.
Absolutely.
Just get some. You can sign up for the email at the footer, but twice a month we just kind of put out the upcoming events.
Right.
Anything you're interested in, very few are limited to just members. So sign up for the event. There's a small, education fee for space. Members get on events for free as part of their membership. So my goal is to let as many people kind of come in, see and experience the spirits that they're interested to learn about. And then ideally you just look for me and make sure we can meet. So there's always outside of the application, which is really helping us know a bit about you, is just the interpersonal side. We have a very awesome community, and so making sure that everyone fits
Great
within
people
it.
Here.
Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of grown to something where I enjoy hanging out. Like there's been a huge variety of new friends, and small every Wednesday night, a group
Yep.
of guys are getting together,
Yeah.
and they've kind of made it a regular part of their week, and they didn't know each other before coming
Right.
here.
Yeah.
So the friendships and the community has been awesome. And so, just making sure that is a priority, just like Grayleys or Roots and Water 5570, which is now, bigger, and they have a lot more offerings than kind of the targeted stuff that,
Right.
we do. Is, it's really about, spirits, the people who love spirits and get around, so there's at least that shared connection.
Yeah.
And then everything else, like the business opportunities and
Right.
things
No,
that have been
I was
been
going to mention
awesome.
that.
The cross collaboration. So we're putting together, a full membership directory that, allows members to, get to know what everyone else does instead of just, what tours you're sharing. And so, I had a member who, sold his business and was like, hey, are there any wealth managers here? And it's like,
Right.
there's, 3 or 4. Let me introduce them to you. Or, guys are looking for CPAs or lawyers, and different attorneys. And, so, we have all this, but it's like, hey, you're not, having a, just the diversity of people is awesome.
I can concur and totally understand that, because at one of the events that I came to, we were talking ahead of time. One of the gals was asking what everybody did.
Yeah.
And I told them that I fly drones, and somebody else over here was like, "Oh, well, I'm a commercial developer."
Yeah.
So I actually was able
Just
to secure some business from that. So I'm a perfect example.
No,
of
that's
that.
awesome.
That's
exactly what we want. And it's like, you're surrounded by quality people, and that's who you want to do business with.
Exactly.
And so I think that's, where, it's not just a co-working place where you just go to, open your laptop and sit down, but it's really more of the executive networking and, that much. I mean, I priced it initially, so it's a $2,500 initiation, $250 a month.
Right.
You can pay annually for a discount, with 3 guests at a time, right? And so you can always bring in, double date or, some clients. I think these new locations are going to have a little bit higher price just due to this being a destination and probably less activity than these kind of right in the middle as a hub for these smaller communities. But $250 is effectively a WeWork open desk space.
That doesn't have a fully stocked bar and a shared bar.
Yeah. Shared everything. So and we haven't really had to. We do bottle calls instead of capital calls, but rarely do we have to do that. But sometimes it's like, hey, we're out of this ingredient.
Yes.
If you really like these cocktails, we're going to let everyone know. So if you do drink, paper planes, bring some, Martinino or Aperol.
Exactly.
And so that allows.
And then you probably get 20 bottles of that. If you put out a bottle call, I'm sure your members are like
1 or 2, but someone's like, "Oh, well, I did it the last time," and so then somebody else steps up, and so looking at that and being part of it, it's like, hey, we don't necessarily need any more whiskey because that's still a predominant straight pour option, but for cocktails, it's all over.
Right?
Yeah, and so that's the fun part is, prioritize what you do. If you want to just do a bottle share with some guys, like that's totally fine. But it just lets you, play with what you're interested in, and you don't have to, try something you don't like. And if you do, just get rid of it, dump it and find something you like. Because 1, there's no time to drink something bad.
Right.
And 2, this is the time for you to figure it out. So then you can go out to places and ask for more, specialized cocktails, or you can kind of see stuff and be like, oh, I know that's a riff off of, this because I learned about it, because bartenders are so knowledgeable. They're educating you along the way, sharing kind of like, oh, well, this is kind of a riff off of X, Y, and Z. I'm using this ingredient. Right. If you want to try that specific ingredient, please do, because that's now it's a way for you to educate yourself. Just like the whiskey. Like, hey, if you want to try a rye flight, go in and look at the ryes and let's find stuff that you've never had before and educate yourself.
Try it.
And so, the nice part about members sharing is that the variety is much, different than what you would find in traditional bars, which brands come in,
Oh, yeah.
and they're targeting and paying for, maybe not paying for, but they're definitely, it's like who's spending the time, and we're getting stuff that's not even in the state because people are going out for travel. So there's a lot of really cool, unique,
very much
opportunities to share and to explore. So I mean, I've gotten to explore a ton, learn more, not just from the brand ambassadors who come in, but from other members who are excited about what they came across.
Exactly.
And that's been really cool.
Well, and that's what I even do when I'm on my travels. Texas is nice because we do get a lot of distribution. I mean, we get a lot of brands, but there's still a lot of brands that we don't. Yeah. And that's when, if I do go when I'm out, I'm always looking for something that I can't get in Texas. You know what I mean? And or again, when you brought up when you were in Scotland that we stopped at Glenfarclas. That was the only one I stopped at. I was with my family, and they had a nice 15-year Glenfarclas distillery only. Well, there you go. That came home with me. So it's that, and your bar definitely shows that's the case. Also, that if people travel, they'll pick something up and share it, which is again just great. So
I mean, I think that's the culture too. Like, I'm not trying to be the next Park House. I'm not trying to be like just the next club that everyone can join, but it's really, not only coming in because you love spirits, but because you want to share that with other people. It's not just another social club. Dallas has a gazillion, and it's really kind of catering to a much smaller niche of interest and specialization.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and again, in the future, I will definitely be. We'll be speaking in the future too, but. I'm glad you're doing it. I'm glad you guys started it. It's wonderful. I think, everybody that I know of who comes here just is, loves it. So, I wanted to thank you for taking some time and just kind of, telling us about it and talking and giving us your story. So,
no, appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you. All right. Now, let's go into a segment I like to call What's Going in My Mouth. So, this week, Dram of the Week is a really nice recent release from Jack Daniels. Their Heritage Barrel, Toasted Barrel, Single Barrel. I mean, there's a lot of barrels going on right there. It's a welcome addition to their, so they say, always on the shelf bottle. It has all the usual Jack Daniels tasting notes, but the Toasted Barrel finish gives it just that bit more of complexity that is not found in the old number 7. It's bottled at 50% ABV and priced at about $70 a bottle. I've thoroughly enjoyed this whiskey, as you can tell. So much so that I'll be searching for a replacement very soon. One of the best whiskeys I've had this year thus far. Truly, really, really good whiskey. The stick of the week comes from 5 Vegas Cigars in their Series A line. It's a medium-strength Maduro 6x50 cigar. Comes wrapped nicely in a cigar sheath and a neat black and gold band. It has excellent construction of a 3-country blend filler and a nice Costa Rican Maduro wrapper. Has an easy draw, burned very nicely to my usually stopping point, about 3/4 down. Got notes of chocolate, the Maduro sweetness, leather, muddled earthy flavors. In my mind, it's a very good everyday smoke, and I would say I would purchase it again. Definitely. Good little smoke. And lastly, what I've been packing in my pipe. So, Peterson, Dublin, Elizabethan mixture. This Virginia Perique blend is one of my favorites, truly. You can tell by how many of these tins I have cellared back. It's a lot. Just say that's a lot. I will say that this is an older tin, probably about 2-3 years old, and I would, as with most Virginia Periques, it definitely does better if it has a little bit of age on it. Still really good new out of the tin, but you get but definitely better with a bit of age on it. The nose, I love it because it gives off like a wonderful fresh cut hay smell, but then the root, like red fruits, come in on it, and then you get a little bit of tanginess at the back end on the nose, and that's coming from the Perique. The palate's sweet through and through, as you would expect with most Virginias, but then at the end there, you get that little spiciness, and that's coming from the Perique. I truly love this tobacco. And again, if you look to see how much I have of this cellared away, you would understand. As always, I want to thank you for joining me on my journey to learn all that I can about these three amazing industries. I hope that you were able to learn something new from this episode, but more importantly, I hope that you were entertained and will continue to listen and or watch the program moving forward. I want to thank Tucker McCormack for taking his time and sitting down with me for a wonderful interview, and inform you that next week we will be speaking with Julian Fernandez, the master blender at CVH Spirits, which makes Bunnahabhain, Beanston, Tobermory, and Leitchik. We will discuss her amazing background, all things CVH Spirits, and get a sneak peek at some travel exclusive releases, so please stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching and or listening. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, hit like, and leave comments. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Also, please let me know if you have any ideas you'd like to hear about in upcoming episodes, and I will see what I can conjure up. I will see you next week on the Whiskey and Smoke News Network. And remember, please drink and smoke responsibly.